Leslie, I am so excited to have you here on the Crazy Blessed Show.
I know, I feel like dancing. Thank you. This is an honor. So thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. Well, guys, the reason she feels like dancing is she's working on her third cup of coffee. So I'm telling you, it could be the joy of the Lord. It could be the caffeine. I don't know.
Both. It's both.
It's both. Sometimes we just need both, right? So today we're pulling on both of that.
Absolutely.
So I am so excited to have you here, and I want to share a little bit about, tell everyone who you are, what you're doing, but also we're going to dive in today talking about isolation and moms, about how we sometimes feel. I mean, I know I did. 7 kids. When I first started having kids, I was like, there ain't no one around who knows what I'm going through right now.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about how you got into what you're doing, like connecting moms.
So it's a long story. So I'm going to try to make it kind of short. So I am this broadcast journalism girl, and I, grew up on a farm in central Nebraska. And I always knew, even though I was in this small farmhouse, like my family, I grew up in a house that my great grandpa grew up in, that my grandpa grew up in, that my dad, so the story, the history of things there are really important to me. And I just always felt like this calling to tell stories.
Wow.
And so I knew when I went to school, I was like, that's what I'm going to do. Like, I want to be in broadcast journalism is what I thought I wanted to do. So after I got married, my husband and I moved, I met him in college, and we moved to Houston, Texas, where I had my first job in Beaumont, Texas, which was like an hour and a half drive from Houston, every day, because you can't get a big gig in TV. I think you might be able to now, but you couldn't back in the day. In the big markets, you had to start small. Yeah, and so and I was like, okay, I'm a go-getter. I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to tell stories. And for this girl who always wanted to be in the big city, I thought for sure, I'm going to go to New York. That was my goal. I'm in Houston. I'm like, I miss home so much. And so my husband, being the great guy that he is, he left his dream gig for the Houston Rockets and came back to Nebraska, where I started my talk show called MTV's Good Life. It was a local talk show. I was first an anchor and reporter, and then I started this talk show, and we got to talk to people throughout the community. And it was like this love I had. Everybody, I would come in, I'd get in there at 6 a.m, and I would leave at 2, which are unheard of hours in TV. And I got to talk to all these people, but I missed something. And it was so weird. I talk about God whispers a lot in my life, and how I feel like he moves us in different directions. Yeah. And when I was there, my girls at that time were 2 years old and 6 months. I have 3 kids, not 7. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. You get that all the time.
With enough coffee, you can perform miracles. So yeah.
You get that all the time. I'm sure you're like, okay, here we go. But all right, I'm there, 2-year-old, 6-month-old, and I am missing something. I'm like, wow, there is something more that I am supposed to do. Do you know when you just know, the gut feeling, you just know?
It's called a hankering.
I like that. Yes. It's something, I love that everybody has different little words for it.
You just get a hankering.
And I shouldn't have, because on paper, it was amazing. It was great. It was a great gig. The people were wonderful. The pay was fine. It was comfortable, but apparently I didn't want to be, and I think God didn't make me to be comfortable, honestly. So I got a phone call at work one day from a woman that I had met through my TV connections. I didn't know her well, but she just said, Leslie, hey, give me a call. I have something I want to talk to you about. And no joke, I hung up the phone and thought, wouldn't that be cool if she had a job for me? Completely random, called her. She had a job for me. And I was like, okay, God, I hear it. I'm leaving. So I left TV and started working for the local Chamber of Commerce. Now, why a broadcast journalism girl should be at the Chamber of Commerce makes no sense. But now it does, because that business side is when I really started. So I was there, I was meeting all these people. I loved the business connection, but like I bawled on the first day I was there. I didn't even know how to do an Excel spreadsheet. Like,
Oh,
how does this
girl.
journalism go? Why would I know that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
I don't
God,
know. And I'm kind of
I
grateful
know.
I don't know.
Right. So I came home that day from lunch. I'm like, God, what is this? And not long after that, there was a business plan competition that said they would give you $10,000 if you won this business plan competition. And we put together this plan for Hervey from Home, and we won the money. And that's how it all started. I
So
was able to
cool.
I know. And I just feel like, you can look back now, hindsight, because that was almost 11 years ago, but it's like, that was so many moments of God leading me to where I am today. To start the website and to be able to share the stories from women across the globe is just
Mm,
the coolest gift.
totally. That's so cool. Oh my
A
goodness. I'd
long-winded
love to
answer.
see. No, it's beautiful, because I think what it also tells us is that God is in the middle of it. Like, I think
Yep.
sometimes we're like, I can't wait to get to that place where everything's going to be okay and I feel sufficient. But what we forget so often is like God is in the middle of the journey. Like when he took his people out of captivity and into the promised land, the whole time he's like, I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to abandon you. I'm going to go before you. I'm going to come behind you. So I think sometimes in the middle of the potty training and the teenage years and all the things, right? That we're like, does anyone know what I'm going through in the middle of it? When am I going to be out of it? No, no, no. God is right there. And so I think the more we can embrace the process, the more we can realize we're already living in the promise and we don't have
That's
to like
it.
get somewhere, you know?
Oh, thank you for that. That is so, when we can sit in what we are, that it's good right now. My dad always says, don't ever rush away today, Les, because the good
Ooh,
stuff is right here. And I think it makes me kind of emotional because I think about that all the time. And as a mom and running a business, everything, it has been so hard. So hard. It's always hard. It's hard for everybody and whatever you do,
yeah.
but when you can pause and look at what's in front of you, yeah, that's the good stuff.
It's so, but like you said, like it's all good. And I even think the hard part, like we didn't have any plans going here. Like literally, those of you who are listening, watching, we did not say, okay, we're going to talk about this today. We're kind of letting God lead this.
Yep.
But I truly think someone needs to hear this is the hard only exists in our perception of hard.
Oh, yes.
Like it's
I love
really
that.
not hard. Like what you're considering is hard is all the thoughts around it. And so if we could like camp out in that place where God loves me, he's
Yep.
here, I can trust him that he's got what's
Yep.
best for me and I can be sufficient right here, right now, then we kind of like dissolve all the hard.
Yes. I love that.
It
Man.
just
And
doesn't.
how do you do that? That's the question that a lot of
Yeah.
people, for me, I always have to, there's also a story on that somebody wrote on Hervey. It's amazing. It was when you're in the hole, the good friends are the ones that they don't ask, how can I help? They go down in the hole with you and
Right.
pull you back up. Like I just get
Right.
emotional with that because that's exactly. So for me, when I'm in that space, I always try to lean on someone who can help me. For me, it's my husband. Whoever it is, I tell people all the time, I'm like, you've got to find at least one person who can help you in that darkness, in that tough spot to get to the next step,
Yeah.
to help you hear God better too.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. Well, I mean, I'm a coach. Like I'm a master coach. And one thing I tell people is like, if you don't have a coach working with you, you can't solve a problem in the problem. Like you can't solve your situation with the same mind that created it. So stop spiraling, get someone who's, is grounded in faith, who can see it through the eyes of God and say, hey, I need to call you on some things because we need those people, to say, hey girl, hold up.
Yes.
I see where you're going. I'm going to stand in the way. Right?
Yep. Gosh. Yeah.
But doesn't that like tie in immediately with what we with what we had planned on talking about, which we the Holy Spirit.
Welcome to me. I know.
All right, Holy Spirit, like whatever you want to do with this, you're good. You're good. We're trusting you. But like that ties into this isolation that a lot of moms feel today. They feel like I'm alone. No one understands me. No one feels my pain. If I remember, I was talking with this one mom, Leslie, and we have a university for moms called Mom Master
Mhm.
University. She said
Mhm.
before she got in here, she held the thought, if I just disappeared, would anyone miss me? And I was like, oh, how heartbreaking. That's why it's so important that we get plugged into a community of moms who not just like, they're not sure like gripe gang, you know what I'm talking about? Like
Yep. Yep.
they
Yep.
like you can't sit with us on Wednesdays, we wear pink. No, they're those people who are like, no, we're godly, we're gonna stand with you.
Yep.
We're
Yep.
gonna be the ones who go in those dark alleys with you and snatch off our hoops, right? Like we're good
Yes.
with that. And we need those people because if you think you're alone, like there's someone watching or listening right now that's like, that sounds awesome to have friends like that. I have no one. I feel
Yes.
so alone right now. And my kids are leaning on me. My husband's leaning on me. My mom's leaning on me. And who do I lean on? Like, what do you tell that person?
Oh, first of all, I just keep having goosebumps with this because I feel like it's a therapy session. So thank you for this. The more that I talk to people about Herview in the book, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what God's doing. Can we talk about the loneliness and
Let's go.
the feeling that, so 2016, the website was like almost broke. And I quit all my other jobs and I'm working just Herview because my husband encouraged me. He's like, you need to just go all in on Herview. I was like, okay, God, I'll do it. And then that month, it was June of 2016. And we found out that we were expecting our third baby. And a normal person at this moment would be like, okay, Les, like quit this job and go get another one. So you could like have a steady
Right.
income. But I had such peace that it was all going to be okay. We refinanced our house that month, so we didn't have to pay a mortgage. And I just kept talking to God. I was like, please just like show me if this is what you want me to do. Not long after that, I got an email from a woman who said, Leslie, I've been praying about it. And Herview was small. We were like 25,000 people. Facebook at that time. She said, Leslie, I found you. I've been praying about it. I really want to share your story on this story on Herview. Can I do that? And it was a story about her friend who had died 4 months after her baby was born by suicide, postpartum depression. And I thought, oh, yeah, I mean, yes, absolutely. I would love to share the story to help other women. And after that article was published, the website was never the same. And so many people found us. And much bigger than that is we got an email not long after that from a woman who said, thank you for sharing that story. It saved my life. And I thought, this is it. Like, okay, God, this is where we all are. We need each other. And if you don't have that community, I feel like that is the mission of what we're supposed to be doing with Herview and with the book. And somehow I'm supposed to be leading it because we need each other and we need to help each other from all parts of the world. And I tell our writers that all the time. I'm like, you guys have no idea how many people you're reaching. And you'll never know. You'll never know who's reading your words at 2 a.m, who needed to read that to not feel isolated in their own dark thoughts, And I just thought, wow, that's God. God is awesome in that.
That is God.
Right? I mean, I cannot do it.
He just shows up that way. So many times I think, Leslie, and you can tell me what you think, but I think we're like, God, when are you going to do this? When are you going to rescue these people? When are you going to come through here? When are you going to bring peace here? And he's like, no. When are you going to do it? Because Jesus said it's finished. Like if we truly believe in the finished work, now we put on the mantle. We're not trying to like elbow our way through the crowd and grab hold of the mantle. Right. Now we are the ones to wear the mantle, go out into the world and say, yeah, it's going to pour through me. I am here as a representative. We're ambassadors of the kingdom of God. So we're supposed to go into the world and say, all right, let's go. Like, let's connect. You're my friend. You're my friend. Like, let's, instead of what's dividing us, let's get rid of that and let's connect because we're all just finding our way through this thing, Don't
we need that more than ever right now?
More than ever. Like
this is crazy. Yes. Yes.
In a time when we are more connected than ever before, we are more isolated than ever before. Like, explain that to me.
Yep, that's exactly it. And angry. Everybody is so just angry. And you sit in that isolation and you get more angry and you fight. And it's like, no, like this is not what we're supposed to be doing, guys. I feel that. I feel that so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you feel the anger. And I think, something I always know to be true when I'm coaching people, whenever we have the feeling of anger, what that exposes is a personal rule that we made was violated.
Um,
So we have to think, if everyone's angry, then what are their rules that have been violated? People should treat me differently. I should
mhm,
have this. My life should look like this. We have so much disappointment that now we've just become angry, and it's this free floating anger. It's not even
mhm,
targeted anywhere. It's just kind of floating
mhm,
around looking for a place to land.
mhm. And then you
So what,
spiral.
and then you spiral, and then no one understands you.
Right, right.
Then you find yourself working on your third cup of coffee. Oh, I'm sorry. What?
And you eat
Let's
cheese at 2 a.m.
all of a sudden you're like buried in a bag of flaming hot Cheetos, wondering, is this my life? God. Like, we've all been there. Leslie's been there. I've been there. We've
Yep,
all
yep,
had those moments. And so if we understand, like, we're not here to try to bear the weight of the pain, we're here to see the pain in other people and all of a
yep.
sudden shoulder it with them, because the cure for that isolation, that loneliness, which eventually leads to anger and despair, is taking your eyes off yourself and looking around at how you can serve other people in pain.
100%. It's bigger than you. And it's just stopping to listen to one person, I think, and really listen to them, hear their story and don't always think of what's in it for me, what's in it for me, I think is just, and plus, and then guess what? It turns out to be really good for you too, because you're helping other people. And it's all, I know it seems so simple when we talk about it, right?
But what if it is simple? Hold
I
up.
know.
Like,
I
what if,
know.
because didn't Jesus say, take my yoke upon you? It's easy.
Yep.
It is rest and refreshment and recreation for your souls. So he said, you can do things the hard way, or you can do things the easy way. If God wants us to be a blessing to people and to be blessed ourselves, why would a loving God make it hard? So what if it is easy?
Then why do we make it so hard?
I think the reason we make it hard is because we become indoctrinated that our effort is what is going to cause our pain to go away. I really do
That's
believe
good.
that. And that, where did
That
that
they
come
hit
from? I don't know.
That's really good. I love that. Like it's that keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. I have to keep going and it's going to go away. When really,
Yeah.
no, pause, stop.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
Which brings us back. Like, we always think we're going somewhere. Like, as soon as I get here, I'm going to have fill in the blank, happiness, abundance, freedom. But what if we have that now in the pause?
yep. Yep. Well, and I will say too, when we were pushing it so hard, man, we want to get 800,000 followers, 900,000, and we hit 1,000,000. And it's like, oh, now we have like 1.4. Didn't change a ding dang thing. I mean, truly, look at what happened to the website when we only had 25,000 followers. That's when some of the biggest work happened. And I think we try to tell our writers that all the time, and it's perspective. And it's like, oh, Leslie, well, it's easy for you to say that because you're there. I'm like, yeah, but the process of getting there was so hard and also so beautiful. I think we also have to go through all of that to understand, but there's not an end goal. It's the day-to-day stuff. That's
Yeah.
that's where we're at. And that's when the good parts of life really happen. I mean, the beginning and the ending, those are always big too, but I don't know. The little moments are the things that we always remember in
It
life,
really
I
is.
think.
It's right there in the middle. And I know
Yep.
with 7 kids, I could remember those times when I would get lost in the process. Like, okay, I'm
Mhm.
I'm moving from here to there. And God would always gently remind me, and he would tell me, these are the good days. Like, pause in this. These are the good days. In the middle of the dishes you're basically building like a Jenga, with the dishes.
So bad. And the floor is sticky.
Oh yeah, the floor seat. Like, one of my best memories, and is there were dishes all in the sink piled up on the counter, and I put all the dishes on the counter because I didn't have time to wash them. Right, I just stuck
Oh
them on the
no.
counter, filled up the sink because my daughter had gotten so dirty. Like my youngest daughter had gotten filthy while she was eating something, stuck her in the sink with the bubbles.
Mhm.
And she was splashing the water out of the sink on, and her older sister was dancing in it. And God just said, watch.
Yep. Yep.
And just that, like I can see it, like I saw it yesterday. And she is laughing, it's pouring water all over the kitchen floor,
Uh-huh.
dirty dishes all over the place. My other daughter is laughing so loudly, dancing and making her sister laugh. And I'm like, this is it.
And how do you, because I feel like I know as well when those little moments are happening, and I remind myself, and maybe that's a God whisper, to
Yeah.
stop and pause and take it in. But how do you think you knew that that was it at that moment? You know, like you knew this
Yeah.
is the good stuff. Because I know there are times when we don't think that, when it's so hard. Like just the other day, I was bawling in the shower, and I like slid down the shower, and I had a bagel in my hand.
Now that's theatrical. Now that is theatrical. I'm sorry. That's like
it was
something from a movie, Leslie. That's beautiful.
so bad. It was so, but it wasn't even, it was just me being sad that my kids, my oldest is 14, and I feel like time is going so fast. And just recently I've really felt like I can't catch my breath, you know, that they're getting
Right.
so much older. But I also know right now is so good. Like I don't know, like, how do we know that?
But I think the enemy also tries to tell us we're always missing out on something.
Yeah,
You know,
that could,
even
that,
like
yeah,
as a mom, one of his most subversive tactics is to say you're missing out on the childhood.
yep.
And so even if like you can't win for losing as a mom, because if we pause to appreciate it, then we're letting all the work stack up. If we don't, then we're a bad mom because we're not pausing to appreciate. So where do we win here? We win by understanding nothing's missing.
Yep.
Like that thought that I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
You're doing exactly
Nothing's
what you need
missing.
to be. Yep.
I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I remember those moments, you know, in the shower with the bagel sliding down, cameras rolling.
Right about that.
You
I got it
know,
right.
that I'm not sure what music would be playing, but I can sense something.
It's
I can
got to
sense
be
a
like an
soundtrack.
epic movie soundtrack
Yes,
type thing for
yes,
that, right?
yes, or something very emo,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
But I could just imagine that. But even in those moments, I remember praying, like, God, show me where the beauty is right now.
Mhm.
And there would be
I
something.
always ask him too at those moments. I'm like, will you please just like take this from me? Like, please take this stress from me, from my shoulders. And I truly sometimes, not always, because, you know, sometimes God and I are like, what's going on? But sometimes I can really feel that tension release from my shoulders and be like, no, you are doing a great job. You are where you need to be. Go hug your babies. You're fine. And I think sometimes we just need that reminder, you know, obviously the talking about the connection and isolation. I didn't feel it as much when I had young kids. I feel it more now my kids are 14, 12, and 5, and I have this huge writing community, right? But I feel like this teen stage is a whole different thing. I love it. It's really hard. And you think I'm crying with a bagel. So are my sweet girls that are crying too.
Yeah.
There's lots of emotions, but it's kind of, it's hard because it's a whole different stage that we just didn't really prepare for until now. And then I do get emotional with the thinking, oh gosh, like they're going to be out of the house soon. But then it's like,
Yeah.
it's a new stage. Mothering never ends.
Yeah.
Parenting never ends. It's just a new journey. But that's hard too, to like wrap my brain around sometimes.
It is hard, but when have we ever really been prepared?
Right. Yes.
You know,
It didn't
Like-
matter how many books you read. You're not prepared for this because it's
never
different.
prepared.
No.
all the books in the world, all the YouTube videos, all the whatever, nothing prepares you for
Mm-mm.
the journey. But
Yep.
the cool thing is that we don't have to carry the weight of preparation. I remember one time I was out on a walk, and that's when I would spend time, you know, talking with God. And
Yep.
I was going into a chapter where my 5 oldest children were going to be leaving the house in less than a year. All of them. They like marriage, grad school, college, like all these things. And I was looking at, oh my gosh, I can literally look at the months. He goes here, she goes there, she goes here. And I remember praying, I'm like, God, I'm not ready for this. I can't do this. And I remember the Holy Spirit saying, you don't have to. I'm already there. you do today. And I think,
I love
he
that.
prepares us for today.
Yep.
And what if that's all we have is just now?
Right.
Because he's 6 months down the road. He's 5 years down the road. He created
Right.
time. He
He
can do
already
whatever he
knows.
wants. He
Right.
already knows.
Right. Right.
So if we can just embrace that idea, like, I'm just going to show up today. That's all I
Yep.
really have.
Just be in the moment of today. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I know whenever I'm chatting with God, I'm often like, listen, I know you already know this, but but can you help me with XYZ? Yeah. Yes. I love that. I'm going to remember that with my kids growing up. And
I know. But like going back to that thing of a mom who might feel isolated today, like, what would you tell her? Like, you're such a great connector, Leslie. It's
Oh,
just amazing how you're able to pull this community
thank you.
together. What
Thank
would
you.
you tell that mom who's like, I want that community? Like, what could be the next steps that she does? Like right now, she just listened to this. She just watched this. She's like, okay, I don't need to be isolated. I don't need to feel overwhelmed.
Yep.
What do I
First,
do
I'd
now?
say you're so loved. She is so loved. That is something I think that we always have to remember. Sometimes I feel negative with myself too. And I have to think, no, gosh, you're so loved and God made you perfect just how you are. And then I would say, what I tell everybody is you got to try to find at least one person. You have your relationship with God, your best buds with God, you know him, right? But you got to find one person who can help pull you out of that hole. And it can be kind of scary to do that. But if you don't try, then you'll never know. We just moved into a new house and we have new neighbors and they were already good friends. And I had to just push myself into that to try to be, and now we're all good friends. And it was terrifying. But if they would have said no to being my friend, what would happen? Well, I'd get my ego hurt a little bit, but then
Yeah.
I'd have to try again for someone else. I think we
Right.
have to put ourselves out there to
We
try to
do.
find at least one person who gets us, who can be honest with us in the hard parts, because you don't want
Right.
somebody to just tell you what you need to hear. That's not going to be any good either. And then who you can reciprocate back and you can help them. Just try it. So it's so worth it.
It's so worth it. And be willing to feel a little vulnerable. I remember one time at church, I was complaining to my husband. I was like, all right, I literally have no friends. Like I can like count on my hand. None of them live here. Like I have no friends. And at church the next day, there's a woman that I really admire. And I literally, Leslie, so if anyone's like reserved about this, do what I did. I walked up to her and I said, hi, can I be your friend?
I love this.
I literally said, I felt like I was a second grader on the playground.
That's
Like,
how it is as
I'll
adults.
let you split my lunch. Like I literally walked up and I said, can I be your friend? And she was like, what? I was like, I think you're cool. Can I be your friend? So that was the start. Like we met for lunch. We have so much in common, but I had like flushed in the face.
Oh yeah.
Voice
Red.
quavering, right? Second
You know
grade,
what, though?
all over.
Most of the time, those people are also feeling the same way and they just want someone. So a good friend of mine, who's also the editor of Herview, we were just talking about this yesterday, that she met a new friend who also said that to her. She was like, I'm sorry if I seem like out there, but I don't have many friends. And now they're great friends and they're meeting up for lunch again. I think it's so easy in those young years to get caught up in the day to day. And for me, I was working all the time and I had these babies and I think I couldn't focus so much on that. I'm like, it's fine. I will just get them to bed and then try to take a shower and do the next thing and grow the business, blah, blah. And now that I'm older and my kids are older, I'm like, oh, yeah, you got to go do scary things. Otherwise I am just going to be, and I love my husband dearly, but also you got to reach out and make those connections, and connections online are a great start, which is why I really do feel like that's a mission that we have, but the real life face-to-face eating with a friend over your kitchen table, eating casserole, I mean, that's good
in the
stuff.
middle of the mess.
Yep.
In the middle of everything. Don't think you have to have your house clean.
Heck no. Because that's the best people come over and you have everything everywhere. I found a rotting
could
pumpkin
you help me please make sense of this kitchen? Like, yes, it's always more fun to clean someone else's kitchen than your own. So
seriously,
just be open. Leslie, you are a joy. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. We're just chatting so much. I know.
I know, this is amazing, but I just love how you're showing up for moms and what you're doing to connect and how you're so willing to be yourself and to be
Thank you.
real. And I really appreciate that. But I know that the people who are listening and watching right now are like, I'm in love with Leslie. So where can I get more of her? Where can they get more of you?
So you can go to Her View from Home and find all of our writers. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram under Leslie Means. Yep.
Awesome. Leslie, thank you so much. It's such a
Thank you
joy
for
having
this.
you here.
This was great.
It was great. And guys, listen, if you're feeling isolated right now, if you're feeling a little out of touch, be raw, be vulnerable, be open, because when you do that, you're going to be blessed like crazy.